Network Entertainment.
And welcome to my podcast, the RJ Ledesma Podcast. In my podcast, I like to speak to visionary leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, and can we replicate them in our own businesses? Today, I am still here at the sidelines of the National Convention of Filipino Homes, the largest real estate sales company here in the Philippines. And it is a true pleasure to be speaking to two of my idols when it comes to the real estate industry. They're actually being awarded here right now as one of the top developers for Filipino homes. They are WEECOM community developers. I am joined by their president, Mr. Cesar L, and of course, by their chief operating officer, Carson Choa. Guys, thanks so much for joining us over here on the RJ Ledesma Podcast.
Thanks, RJ. Thanks for having us again after 5-6 years.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
So the last time we talked, I guess, pandemic.
We missed
Heart
the
of
pandemic,
right?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's been a lot of pivoting and changing for your business as well since that time. But tell me a bit more. We're here in the National Convention, and you guys are actually, because you're being awarded X number of times in the row as top developer here in Filipino. So what exactly are you getting an award for over here?
I think, we got the award for the top 2 developer nationwide. I believe we've had this award for the past 4 years.
4 years. Yeah.
4 years. And we're happy and proud to be number 2, of course, with Filipino Homes. No problem.
Yeah, and having said that, no, I because I'm from the industry and I get the chance to work together with you guys, we just know how big WEECOM is here right now. But help us better appreciate just how expansive WEECOM or We Community Developers is right now here in the country. How big is the sales that you guys got last year, Carson?
So last year we did around close to 13 billion. So that's production coming from 4 areas. So basically, WEECOM is present in Metro Manila, but not Metro Manila, limited to Metro Manila. So we have projects in Cainta. So we have projects in Mandaluyong, Quezon City, then also in San Juan, where we started. Then we also expanded to Iloilo City, then Davao City, then Cagayan de Oro. So, but then this year, we expanded further to Bacolod City. We're launching a project soon, I think a week from now. Then last August, we launched our first Cavite project. So more or less, we're present in, you can say, around 6 to 7 cities already.
Fantastic. And that's 13B. That's right, not 13
billion, yes.
Production-wise.
Correct.
For you guys. And what are you expecting in the next couple of years? How much more are you going to grow this one? I'm sure you have something like in your mind, 20B in X number of years.
Go muna, sir.
So I don't know if Carson has the same answer, but yeah. So last year we hit around 13B. And we actually had a study made by Colliers to check where does WEECOM stand versus the other real estate developers in the Philippines in terms of specifically real estate sales revenue.
For residential.
For residential only. So, according to Colliers, we're number 9
Yes.
nationwide at 13 billion last year. Actually, prior to that, RJ, we would never really compare ourselves with other developers. We're happy where we are. We're happy doing what we do. But when we were just curious, and of course, we got Colliers, and so apparently we're number 9 nationwide.
Wow, fantastic. Great job. Great pat on the back for you guys over there. And amazingly enough, you guys have won a lot of awards as well in real estate development for what I would call a relatively young company. I mean, I know that you might want to rattle off some of them, but what are some of the major awards which mean a lot to you guys in terms of what WEECOM has achieved in such a short period of time?
So WEECOM has been running for the last 17 years, right? So 17 years. So pwede mo sabihin up and comer kami kasi the first few years we have been very localized.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning we operate primarily in San Juan. Then when I joined Cesar, we expanded to QC. So there wasn't really much dreams of expanding beyond where we were operating. So if you count the technically in years when we decided na okay, magseryoso na tayo dito, let's start pushing the envelope, see how far we can go. It was actually 2016. So that's when we started really the aggressive regional expansions. So yung program na to technically this is our 10th year. So, ending our 10th year ng program na yun. And we started seeing results or being recognized by award-giving bodies, I think, 2019, 2020. So we got awards from Lamudi, we got awards from Property Guru. Ano pa yung isa? There's another one, I forgot. But then we've won several awards already, and it's not limited to, let's say, a single project. It's scattered all over. So we have a project, a house and lot project in Davao that was awarded, vertical development in Manila that was also awarded. So medyo okay siya kasi parang well-rounded naman siya. Yeah.
I see. And having said that, I mean, you're like you said, you're number 9 right now in terms of I guess size of developer. But at the same time, the awards that you're winning mean it was not just for sale. It was also for design, which tells me something about WEECOM, that there's a sort of, I would say, secret sauce that you guys have in development. I mean, and we're going to talk a bit later on about your background in real estate development. But what do you think makes you guys stand out as developers? Because you guys were fighting it out with the big boys, and you managed to carve a niche. What do you think you guys have done a bit differently?
Yeah. Again, I don't know if Carson's answer is the same as mine, but siguro what WEECOM has done successfully was really to merge the idea of affordability and something, I want to say luxurious. So, because the awards we've won, like the ones in Metro Manila for our condo developments, have been an award that's affordable, but also the best design awards. So I think the merge of the two ideas, which I guess some developers or most developers want to do, we were able to accomplish. When you ask us what are the awards that we really treasure or really value, it's really that if we get an award for an affordable project, and then we also get a same award for that same project, but as a design award, that really for me is one of the secrets of WEECOM.
And I know that I often hear Carson saying, I don't like cookie cutter designs for a project. It can't be cut and paste and you put it somewhere else. Can you share us a bit more about that philosophy when it comes to doing development? Because you can if you wanted to, right?
Yeah. So actually, may struggle doon because it's so much easier to compartmentalize your developments, diba? So you can say, okay, for a price point of this much, dapat ganito lang siya. So, but then, that's why you see a lot of bigger developers try to segmentize their product. So, is it okay to name names, diba? Okay lang naman. So, like, for example, you have Ayala, Premier, and then they have their Alveo, then they have their Avida, they have their Amaya, then they have, I think, another lower tier pa. Then you have
Bella Vita, yeah.
Bella Vita. Then you see even Camellia, meron siyang Portofino, tas meron siyang Camellia, may Vista siya. So sa amin, we were thinking actually about that if we want to categorize. Kasi the main reason why our marketing team or even some of our ops team are saying na you have to segmentize kasi baka ma-associate niya na si WEECOM gumagawa ng mura pero gumagawa ng mahal. So pag gumawa ka ng mura, baka yung mga gustong bumili ng mahal would say, I won't buy from a developer that develops affordable condos, right? So but then we went against that norm or that against the grain, no? Practically by saying na ang purpose namin is to identify the best use for the land. And when you say the best use for the land, it covers both, again, you get the most profit or income out of that property, but you also get the most use out of that land. So meaning, specific, alam mo kanino dapat para yung produktong yon. And from there, you can start developing your product. So I'll give you an example. Let's say, we have a project in Mandaluyong, so called Harbor Park Residences. It's along Pasig River. So ideally, siguro typical developers, what they would do is they would do a scan on developments that side of Mandaluyong. Sorry. So basically, sabihin nyo, ito yung presyo dyan, ito yung pwedeng ibigay. So ang amin, very clear. So itong produkto na to is not really specifically for Mandaluyong residents per se. This product is actually geared towards employees working in Makati who can't afford anything in Makati anymore. So they're forced to travel to Cavite, to Antipolo. So we crafted our design based on that. So dapat hindi naman siya sobrang bagsak yung presyo, but it's comparatively more affordable, more within reach for people working in Makati. And when they see that property, rather than traveling 2 hours to Cavite, they just travel 15 minutes to their new home, di ba? So ganun yung siguro yung perspective namin. So it's a different approach all the time. Like, so another property in Cainta. So this property was inside an existing subdivision.
Yes, yes.
So the normal reaction would be, if it's a housing or a horizontal development, then you have to follow what's being done. But then that property is so strategically located near the junction, a few meters away from Felix Avenue. We said, walang masyadong nagde-develop dito ng condo. Although, syempre, there were some struggles na you have to get the permits, the licenses. But luckily, we were able to. So we were able to build a vertical development, which normally in that instance, you'd think na pang bahay at lupa lang siya. But then, pag binenta mo siya bahay at lupa, siguro 6 million yung isang bahay. Marami naman hindi makakabili ng 6 million. So we were able to create a 2 million to 2.2 million condo product.
With an economic housing.
It's a condo geared towards people working in Ortigas, people who would travel all the way to Antipolo, right? So it's a halfway home wherein yung mga taong naghahanap ng matitirahan na malapit, kaya. And there were also a lot of, if you go around that area, you also find a lot of dorms. So yung mga parang mga bed space. So surprised kami that there was also a lot of clients who bought the property for investments. So they would buy a 2.1 million house, a condo, which they have to pay for amortization, siguro 16,000 a month. And they can lease out that space for 4 beds, practically covering their investment. So it's parang ganun yung approach. That's why we always instill to our project directors and even our organization that we treat each property with respect. Kasi iba, simple lang eh. Pang affordable to, ito lang. Pang high-end to, ito lang. Basta pasok sa ganitong bracket, that's what we do. And we tweak the product, right?
And the way that I'm seeing it, and because I've had a chance to work together and understand your thinking, is that for some of the projects, there's a great deal of market research that goes into it, more than the usual market research that other people do, without really any trade secrets. What do you do a bit differently when you're able to analyze a project?
Yeah, so
Go.
sige. So normally yung market scans namin is not limited simply to who you're competing against, right? So basically when we do a scan, we try to look for the gap. So for example, you find out that there's this particular glut in terms of this size for this price. Then on the other extreme, meron naman sobrang mura pero sobrang liit. So you have to find where there's a certain gap in the market wherein you can actually place your product. And part of the scan that we do is not only about the selling price, it's also the sweet spot, right? So ano ibig sabihin ng sweet spot? Kasi we're practically playing at the market of around 2 million to maybe, let's say, 6 to 7 million. And majority of this market, hindi naman nila kaya bumili ng bahay on a cash basis. So they'll never buy a property na, okay, I want this, I pay you 6 million today. So ang main source of payment nila is through what they're getting monthly from their income. So ang hinahanap namin na sweet spot is it should not deviate from how much they can afford. So for example, let's say, sa lugar na yan, a majority of the people we are targeting are earning, let's say, 75,000. So if you check the bank regulations and pag-ibig regulation, then the product product's amortization should be a third of that only. So work back ka. So 75 ang income, atras ka to 25,000 a month ang babayaran niya. Then the 25,000, then you go a step back is anong produkto yon? So at 25,000 siguro you're looking at 3 million na product. So parang ganun kami. We're doing most of the time reverse engineering. Need, kayang bayaran, sweet spot. Kasi minsan, lalo na if you do condos, if you don't sell out within the first week, or let's say for the first few months, as you move closer to the delivery of the building, the equity term shortens eh. Even if you don't increase your selling price, but the payment terms get shorter, then the monthly payment gets heavier, right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, yung ginagawa ng ibang developers is ida-dive nila yung down payment percentage, which is always a, feeling ko lang personal ko, it's a recipe for short-term success. Kasi basically, you're making the product so affordable on a monthly equity basis, pero pagbanggaan niya sa uutangin na niya, there's a mismatch already.
And it's going to be too big for the...
Too big for them. Right?
Too big for the... And it's going to be a big loss eventually for the homeowner.
For the homeowner,
for
yes.
the
Kasi
homeowner.
although there are laws that protect the clients, meron rin naman options wherein if they decide na they find out later on that they can't actually borrow from the banks and they decide to not pursue the unit, a portion of the equity that they paid is forfeited eh.
Yeah.
Siyempre, dapat consensus din tayo dyan as a developer. You just can't do like, kikita ka sa equity na canceled, no? So, for us, canceled equity it's not even something that we even consider. Bonus lang yun.
Bonus lang yan. So that's not additional income. It's
When we run our cash flows, we don't even include that. Kumbaga, kung meron, kung wala. But normally, we run it without it.
I see. And another thing I've also noticed, what do you mean by a conscientious way of working with your partner developer, with your partners? Because usually the partner for a developer is the landowner because for many landowners, they would want some money at once to start up a project. But if you are a developer instead, it's very hard to get big parcels of land and that because you spend so much money there that you don't have much left for your development budget.
Siguro the way we find partners or the way we qualify partners is probably similar to how we also qualify projects that will work. Compared to other developers, I feel we're very detailed. We really spend a lot of time in checking the market, in checking our competition, making sure the product works, making sure it's affordable, making sure, like what Carson mentioned, we hit the sweet spot. In terms of partnerships or partners in general, we're the same way. We've had people come to us and then Carson and I feel won't be good partners or will be partners that will be a problem in the future. So usually we don't push through with those deals. But with the partners that we do have, we're very happy with them. They add value to our company. And it's more, and the relationship is actually very genuine. Even if, I'm sure Carson will agree, even if there's a partner who's very landed, but doesn't have the same character, doesn't have the same principles as us, even if we wanted to do it, we won't. So with most of our projects, it's all mostly joint venture because we save our capital for the development. But the partnership, how we say yes to a potential partner, for me is maybe the make or break of a possible super successful project.
Got that. Now, the other thing I'm very curious about is because you are very gung-ho in terms of your development. You're doing in several parts of the country development. But then there's been news, that there's an oversupply of property and that it doesn't seem to be, and it's a big problem, but it doesn't seem to match what the reality is for you. And to my mind, it's just that baka hindi lang tama yung produkto sa presyo kung anong binebenta, di ba? Help me better understand. Help our listeners understand. Is there really an oversupply issue when it comes to real estate here in the country, or is just that there's a product mismatch?
Yeah. So,
I'll go first.
sige. So, okay. So, actually, problema kasi, I think when the media caught on with the initial news coming from reputable sources, they ran away with the story na walang qualification on where the glut was. So, to be honest, on the first quarter of this year, medyo may konting slowdown because people thought that the oversupply was affecting the entire country, in the entire industry. But in reality, it's actually limited to some key areas in not even the entire Metro Manila, but some areas in Metro Manila. And it also affects a certain price point, right? Kasi how can a glut exist when at the same time may kwento na there's a housing backlog, di ba?
Yeah, exactly.
So, parang sobrang polarizing nung dalawa, di ba? So, sa totoo, may kulang naman na housing pa rin ngayon. But ang kulang kasi, ang problema, hindi nasaservisyohan yung mga ganong kulang. So, it's either the math doesn't work. So, meaning, kahit anong gawin mo, like for the longest time, the issue has been advocating developers to support, whether it's a 4PH or the socialized housing programs. But if it's not profitable per se, so why would you actually get into it, di ba? So, but then dun sa kami, very specific kasi yung nilalaroan namin na market eh. So, we play over the economic housing. So, meaning economic kasi is caps at 2.6. So, meaning anything higher than 2.6 all the way to maybe 6 million is where we play at. So, if you look at the glut in terms of yung surplus, hindi naman doon naglalaro eh. Right? But then, isa pang problema, kunyari, for example, we have some projects wherein we're located within that same area within there's a lot of excess development. Ang issue dun is, I don't know if I can call it greed or I don't know. Kasi syempre, ang normal mindset ng developer is, lalo na if you're publicly listed, right? So, ang goal mo is to show the best revenue, to show the fastest turnaround, to show a lot of glamorous numbers.
Of course.
So, kahit hindi warranted yung price mo, if you think the market can absorb it, tutulakin mo yun ang tutulakin. Kami baliktad eh. So, katulad ng binanggit namin kay Cesar kanina, when we do joint ventures, we're very honest with our JV partner. We tell them, ito yung value ng lupa mo, ito yung kaya namin gawin dyan, ito yung balik niyan. Kung kaya natin taasan, susubukan namin. Pero pag hindi namin, but we won't keep on increasing it for the sake of para lang sumobrang ganda yung numero. Kasi at the end of the day, hindi lang naman paper gains ang hinahabol ng partner namin eh. They also need the money to actually go to them, di ba? Kasi maraming, kahit nasabi mo, original business plan ko, kaya ko ibenta ng 180,000. Pero, katabi ko, nagbebenta ng 300. 300 din tayo. Sa paper, ang ganda. Halos nagdoble yung kita mo, di ba? Pero in reality, hindi naman ganun kabilis yung galaw. So our JV partner also has to understand na we're not only talking about the amount that you will get back, but also when you will get it. Ganun rin kami as a developer. Hindi naman kami like bubuhos ng lahat ng pera namin in one property eh. So we also spread it in different developments. So I think yun yung different rin sa atin. Kumbaga, we know when to say, I think it's good enough, right? Then we can move on to the next opportunity. So that's why, if you look at all our existing projects that have, kumbaga, are RFO or close to RFO.
RFO meaning ready for occupancy.
Ready for occupancy or close to RFO. We're one of the few developers that have siguro an average of 5% remaining inventory. And that's not an exaggeration. So, yung HPR namin, yung Mandaluyong, as what I mentioned.
HPR is Harbor Park.
Yeah, Harbor Park. That's 1,007 units. It's RFO. We only have 21 units left. Then, Jacinta namin is 1,240. But
Where's it located?
In Cainta.
Cainta, okay.
So the first building is 360 units. but total development is 1,240. And last I checked, we only have, out of the 360, we have around 18 units left. So, kumbaga, it will not affect our bottom line. We'll still get the money that we need to get. And the best part is, yung partner namin will get the money that they expect to get. No? Just to add rin yung what Sar mentioned kanina on JVs. May mga, ang pinakamahirap to close in a JV is a property owner who thinks their property is the best property in the world. Kasi parati naman ganun ang nasa mindset.
All developers, all landowners think that they have the best property in the world, or more or less. They think
Reasonable landowners are practical. But you also meet some people na they think their property is the best. So, ang di nila naintindihan, land is part of your cost. So, the higher the land, the higher you need to sell the project. And there's also a risk in terms of kaya mo ba ibenta? Can we actually deliver it? So, yun yung, I think yung sinasabi ni Sar kanina na pareho kami mag-isip. Ang end goal namin is we can flip the project within the time that we agreed on, and it has to have a certain level of degree of, kumbaga, practicality on the part of the landowner also na ang lupa ko, ganito lang talaga siya. 'Di ba? Kasi pero marami rin kami nami-meet na nagsabi, "Hindi, sobrang ganda nito. Ito dito, ganito na yan. Dapat yung value ganito." But we walk away. We tell them, if you find a developer that can flip your project based on the land that you're pricing it for, then good luck. But it's not us, 'di ba?
got that. So that's establishing. Yes, please.
Maybe to add on Carson's point, kasi let's say we talk to a landowner, tapos usually some of them will have their properties appraised. Once they get the appraisal, kaya sabihin natin mataas, of course, the appraiser will always make it a little bit higher para happy yung the client is the one asking for the value of the property. Of course, if the appraiser appraises it lower, syempre you're not happy if you're the landowner.
Yeah.
But again, when we present the joint venture numbers with our potential partners who feel or stick by those numbers by the appraiser, it doesn't make sense for us. And we show it to the potential JV partner, and we tell them, if you price it at this much, we should be able to sell at this much. But the market is only this much.
Yes.
So it doesn't make sense. Syempre, that's where the struggle comes with the landowner. But at the end of the day, what we say is, if you look at the bottom line, at a lower price or at the price that we feel is the real market value, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for you. You're able to liquidate your property. Plus, the project is successful. Clients get to enjoy their units in your property. It's a win-win for everyone. But I guess a lot of landowners are really stuck with that high price. But what do you do with a high price? You can't do a joint venture, number one. Number two, if you want to sell it to appreciate the high price, diba, na mabebenta mo, it's also very hard to sell. So I think people have to view it that way. It has to be a practical price. The appraised price might not always be good for you, even though it's so high.
Yeah, that it becomes an illiquid asset in effect. Your real estate becomes sort of like it. Yeah, it's about it's a great property, but nobody wants to buy it.
Yes.
Even and the most logical client, the developer, wouldn't want to get because it doesn't make sense in the total cost of putting the project out. I want to step back right now, and what I find truly interesting is the origins of WEECOM as a development, because I know that from past experiences that you both worked together with Pro Friends, which is one of the biggest developers in Cavite, and you both served there both as sort of like management trainees and project directors, and that's where you got your feet wet and before you moved on. But I know that, and you first worked, I understand, for your family business, real estate. And Cesar was, I one time had an opportunity to host an event where his mom was there, and his mom would say, "Oh, he is the black sheep." I hope sheep was the word that she used, no? But black sheep of the family. And now, look at what he's running right now. She's very proud. But share with me a bit more about the secret origin. I know that you had a very interesting way. You were working in Pro Friends, and all of a sudden, your bubble burst while you were working for them. Sorry, what happened over there?
Okay. So well, I started working for the family business But our family started to do property development. But unfortunately, we didn't know how to do that, RJ. So fortunately, I met Jerry Choa, who's our mentor. He's the owner of Pro Friends. And I learned how to do real estate. I handled projects for him alongside Carson. Carson also handled projects with Uncle Jerry. We did joint ventures with him. In a way, Uncle Jerry is really the reason why we're here, why we're together, why we know all of these things, why we were able to but fail not doing fatal mistakes in his company. So we learned it the hard way. Well, to answer your question, so I was with Pro Friends for 5 years. I was handling I think, the biggest project that Pro Friends had at that time and until now, which is Lancaster New City in Cavite. And yeah, the story goes, it's one day I sold 150 units of that project, and then that was a weekend. And on that Monday, I went to Uncle Jerry's office, and then he fired me. So, he really fired me. It wasn't a joke. So when he fired me, a few weeks after that is when I put up WEECOM.
Why did he fire you?
Well, according to him, he fired me because he already imparted all of the knowledge that he could for me, and he felt that I was good enough to start my own company, which wasn't true. Until now, 17 years after, Carson and I were still learning. The industry is always changing. But it was really a big step for me. It was really something I would have not done if Uncle Jerry did not fire me. And obviously, my company would not have grown this much if Carson did not come to help me. Because Carson joined me in 2012. That was a good 4 to 5 years after I started.
So when you started off, I mean, in retrospect, I mean, right now it looks like it was good that he fired you, right? Because if not, you wouldn't have set up the company. But what was it going through your mind when he initially fired you? Did you say, "Oh, I'm firing you. Now put up your own company"? How did it go for you?
So when he fired me, it was either I would go back to the family business and put up the real estate arm of our family, or I would do a project and a project on my own with my new company. So I did the latter, and so far so good. I think it could have worked either way, but for me, when I started the company, to be honest, I didn't think it would be this big after 17 years. I would have never imagined that I would sell or the company would sell 13 billion annually. This coming from the first year of WEECOM selling around 40 million only. So it's a big jump. But to be honest, when I started the company, my idea was I'll do one project and then I'll stop. That was the honest truth. But when I did my first project, and then my neighbor sold me his property, so I already had my second project. And another neighbor in the same street in San Juan sold me their property, so I had 3 properties in the same street, overlooking Wakwak Golf Course. So it was too good to say no. And eventually, that was the time Carson and I talked about expanding the business and joining forces. But since I was in Pro Friends when I met Carson, I really knew the partnership would work. We share the same language, one. We may not work similarly, but our decisions end up the same way. But the manner going through the thinking process is very different.
Got that. So very interesting. Now I want to find out, like, okay, that was your direction at the time. And then, but after he was fired, where were you? Were you also fired? Did you continue on with the Pro Friends at the time? So you're a project director, right?
Yeah. So I think I left Pro Friends a year before Cesar left. So I joined my dad's company. So he also has a smaller real estate company, but he had also other businesses. And I think nung time na yun, when my dad was running it, nagkaroon ng problema yun eh. So there was a big problem and all of his businesses had to close down. So, yun yung time na I was in the medyo limbo nun. Should I pursue my own thing? Should I work with Uncle Jerry? Medyo ano lang yun eh. By chance lang, we messaged each other, then we had lunch. Tama. Tapos nag-usap kami na, oy, what if mag-work tayo together? Kasi nung time na yan, so, kumbaga, you didn't really have a lot of options available for you. And always nga, sinasabi ko, Cesar is lucky and grateful na he extended that opportunity. Sabi niya, sige, when you're ready, usap tayo. So I went to his house. Nung time na yan, if I remember correctly, I think that was mga mid or third quarter of 2012. Nakatira pa siya sa Baron 1 na penthouse. So meaning the first project that he was doing, doon rin siya nakatira. So when we say na we design projects wherein the intent is kami mismo titira doon, is not a lip service, right? So it's something na tinirahan niya talaga. Then when I joined him a year after, I stayed in Baron 2 and until now I live in Baron 2.
Oh.
Yeah, so the goal was Cesar was with Christian Yap nung time na yon and they were doing San Juan. Then he saw a property in Quezon City. So sabi niya, okay, let's I guess alam ni Sar na iba yung work style namin. So he said, okay, para hindi magulo, just let's do this expansion. You do it your way, pero QC ka lang.
Breathe in and out. You deserve peace, and sometimes peace starts with a clean home. With CleanWorks, you don't just get a spotless space, you get mental clarity, professional cleaners, systematic service, hygienic, safe, and stress-free. Let CleanWorks handle the mess so you can focus on what truly matters: rest, family, or just your time. Clean space, calm mind. Book now at CleanWorks PH on Instagram or Facebook, or call 0966 200 6910 to schedule your cleaning. Because self-care starts at home.
Right? So that's how it started. So yung pagpunta namin sa QC kasi we didn't have the brand equity yet at all of WEECOM, although Baron was a bit known already in that area. So we started a new brand. So ang naging mindset nga namin is every new city, one letter tayo. So San Juan was B. Then QC, our second city, was Centro.
Okay.
Then, so tuloy-tuloy. Ngayon nasa we're launching letter K in Bacolod. So, ganun yung, kaya tinatanong ng tao, pero wala siyang mas malalim na meaning.
I see.
Nag-uusap lang kami na, ganun, every city, ibang letter yan. So, that's how it started. But then, sabi ko nga, when SAR gave me that opportunity to start, wala rin akong experience to do vertical development. So, ang training namin ni Uncle Jerry was really all horizontal. And if you really think about it, the training was limited to siguro a very simplified market scan. Then you are in charge of selling it, creating the brand or identity of your project, and construction monitoring. That's it. Kasi set up na yung backroom niya eh. So his accounting, finance team, etc. Basta we create our business plan and we tell him, I need the money this much and this is the schedule and they will provide. Right? So ibang usapan na yung tayo na yung nag-handle tapos saan natin kukunin yung pera? Not all banks were actually that friendly then in terms of extending loans, di ba? So, the first year, actually, dami mo natutunan. It's really a game of leverage. But leverage never in a sense na you take advantage of your position. It's more of just equalizing the playing field. Kasi nung nag-umpisa kami, SAR, parati yung sinasabi, SAR, supplier, cash. Tapos, bangko, isa lang. Mataas pa rate. Ang taas pa ng redemption value. Diba? Ang brokers, walang gustong pumansin. Kasi sabihin nila, ilan ba yung units ng project mo? First project natin sa QC was only 99 units, if I remember correctly. So you can't really get traction. So how many sellers would spend a lot of time developing a team for 99 units? And if they ask you, what's next? Wala
pa.
walang pipeline, di ba? So the first 3 years was really quite hard kasi, but then it told us what we needed to fix. We needed pipeline. We needed to gain a certain level of volume so that when we talk to banks, we talk to suppliers, we talk to brokers, kumbaga may pantay lang tayo. Hindi yung parating nakikiusap kami. Yeah.
And how did it eventually move from that position of, I guess, where nakikiusap to finally you had some leverage? Help me understand how it moved to that position.
Well, Noran, to add to what Carson mentioned, so we're very fortunate to be mentored by Uncle Jerry Choa, diba? But like what Carson said, what we learned from Uncle Jerry, siguro from 1 to 10, probably was only a 2 or a 3 from what we know now. We also have a mentorship program in our company. Again, it's a good first step always to have a mentorship program or to have a mentor in general that will teach you the ropes. But again, it doesn't end with the mentor. You also have to have that personality that would be always learning, always trying to adjust, always accepting of failure, rising up, standing up. I think that's something we both have that's always working for us. We're always trying to think of the better product, or maybe when something bad happens, we don't take it like, oh, we're dead. We're always thinking, what's the next? What's the plan B? What's a plan B? We always have plans until plan Z. So I think that's something maybe for entrepreneurs that are, or people who want to be entrepreneurs, you should have that. It's not find a mentor. It's more find the mentor, but it's also you. It's not just someone that will teach you what to do. It's also how you figure out problems. Maybe the mentor is a good first step to push you in terms of like confidence or doing what other people are doing. But you can't be a copycat and just trying to do what your mentor does.
Confined with whatever was taught to you.
Parang I think good entrepreneurs are people that can adjust, are people that can see things differently, even different from your mentor. Diba? Sorry, what was your question?
But no, that's exactly, I think that's exactly where we want to take things. So it's how you thought things, it's how you thought your way out of things.
Yeah.
How you actually grew the business. Now, you did say that you guys began from 40 million a year to 13B. And what was that point in that business where it began to scale? I mean, you were just a regular boutique developer in Metro Manila. But now you chose to go provincial and that's where you scaled. What was the decision point, or what made things different for you to say things would grow this way?
Sige. So, siguro I can start with that. So, I don't know kung it's same kami ni Sar, but always kasi yung mindset ko is always self-reflection, di ba? Na anong meron kami, ano yung wala. Kasi there are some people who think walang limitation yung pwede niyang gawin right? So akin always, we start with where we are bad at. So kunyari, hindi siya nangyari like overnight. We just decided na we'll do it, right? So kunyari, when we started, I said, wala kaming broker, walang bangko na naniniwala sa amin, suppliers, hindi na okay. So there were really deliberate decisions in terms of how we would want to kumbaga improve on each. So pagdating sa brokers, I think the main critical, kasi everything naman is the same pagdating sa brokers You can give commissions, you can give incentives, right? Ang pinaka main difference is the amount of time and relationship you want to build. So for us to improve our broker network or relationship with sellers, we really had to sell ourselves. Kami yung, kumbaga, mahihiya ka na kung di ka magbenta kasi sobrang bait namin. Sobrang dali namin kausap. Pwede mo kaming lapitan anytime and we will always try to find a solution to your problem. Right? So pagdating sa bangko, dalawa kasi siya eh. It's a dev loan side and also the takeout side.
So okay, for the people to understand, development loan is to construct on the property, and then the takeout side means
Is once you've already constructed and clients have bought the unit, they're borrowing from banks to pay you off,
okay.
right? So ang naging main mantra namin talaga, kahit na imagine mo hindi ganun kalakas pa yung benta namin noong time, was we will not compromise the quality of our accounts, whether in form of equity or in form of documentation. So I remember this very vividly. I spoke with BDO and they were talking about growing the business with us. And sabi niya sa akin, I think medyo half insult, half intent to grow, right? The business. Sabi niya, because your business now represents 1 point something% of our portfolio. Yun yung sinabi niya, you know? So during that time, I think annually we were just trading maybe 300 million sa kanila annually. And this year, we are slated to do maybe 1.2 billion of trading with them for REM.
Wow.
Right? So,
That means real estate mortgage.
yes,
Okay.
real estate mortgage. Then, syempre mayabang rin ako. Sabi ko sa kanya, but it's the best 1% you have.
Ang galing ah. Yan yung mga winner lines winner.
Yeah, but it's true.
Good for pickup lines, good for getting the banks to
Because
believe it.
I showed them the information, right? So I told them from year one, when we started dealing with you until the last time we met, kahit na 300 lang kami annually, we've built up close to 2 billion worth of portfolio that we've exchanged with you. Sabi namin, check with any other bank na walang buyback, okay, na nangyari at walang default. So, wala silang mabalik. So, totoo naman, it's the best 1%. But it's 1%. But then at least they know the quality of accounts that we're giving. So, once BDO was on board, it was easier for other banks to get on board as well.
So, parang bellwether si BDO.
Yes, kasi you need to get the biggest bank to be on board with you. Pagdating naman sa dev loan, ang naging policy namin ni Cesar was, we pay off early. So if ever we do get a 3-year loan term or a 4-year loan term with a 2-year moratorium, wala pang 3rd year, bayad ka na. These were deliberate tasks that we actually did. And until now, yung DNA na yan carries over. So nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, maraming kliyente hindi nakabayad ng equity, maraming kliyente nagka-cancel. We were one of the few developers that did not ask for a moratorium on interest payments. And we were one of the few developers that even paid off our obligations during the pandemic. And I think that really paid off Kasi after nun, nakita ng bank na despite the situation wherein everyone else was asking for more leeway, more time, or whatever, we really stuck to it, right? So, yeah, I think yun yung mga small things that we decided to do. That's why when we went regional, it was a bit easier ng konti, but it wasn't easy pa rin when we went region.
Why did you guys decide to go regional? That's the thing that I'm very curious to find out. I mean, you're strong in Metro Manila, but as we can see, Metro Manila is a really tough place to do business because there's so many competition over there. But you decided to go regional. What was your play when you made that decision?
I think when we started to go regional, maybe when we decided to do it, number one, we wanted to expand yung company fast. So that was one. But when you run the numbers at that time, when we would analyze properties in Metro Manila, and this was in 2015, property prices in Manila were not yet that high, RJ. But kami naman, we analyzed properties in Manila, properties in Davao, Iloilo, CDO. And then when we ran the numbers, the provincial projects actually did better in terms of like numbers, in terms of return, and in terms of like how easy it is to sell it in a way. But when we talk in Oshnap or Sheda, when people ask us what's our secret, we tell them we went provincial. So we multiplied Metro Manila into 3 more regions, which is Davao, CDO, Iloilo. So we we sell around 4 billion in all of those places each. So if we stayed in Manila, maybe our best case would have been we would have done 4, maybe another 2, 6 billion, maybe annually. But when we went to the provinces, we were able to multiply the company that way. But again, it's something that we tell people to do. But most people from Manila, most developers from Manila won't do it. I guess it's really parang, it's outside your comfort zone. You're doing well in Manila. Why go elsewhere? But for us, like right now, when people talk about oversupply in Metro Manila, so developers now are starting to go regional. They're going more provincial. But we've done that 10 years ago. Maybe because we're closer to the ground. I think as owners, we talk to brokers a lot. We have long trips with them annually. Every year, we probably have 4 to 5 trips just with sellers. Carson and I, we talk to them. We have dinner with them. We are their tour guides when we go to Europe. So in a way, they're our bridge to the information that's really on the ground.
I see. I see. Well, what is the first regional or provincial city that you guys went into?
Yeah. So the actually yung original first was supposed to be Cagayan de Oro. So when we went there, well, yung una, actually noong 2012, 2013 when I joined SAR, hindi naman sure na we would be working this long eh. So same goes na when SAR started WEECOM noon time, he thought tapos na siya sa Baron 1. So when I started working with SAR, the agreement was just one building muna. Then okay naman siya, then naging 2 building. Then that was the time we really started thinking na mag-isip nga tayo long term. Let's not do it on a per building basis. And the most logical direction was to expand beyond Metro Manila. And we looked at Cavite, and we also looked at somewhere in the north, no? But ang problema, syempre Cavite, nandun din sila Uncle Jerry, ayaw naman namin magbanggaan. Then we, again, self-reflection na we know na all of the big players in the Philippines are also in Manila. So we will always be classified as the small fish. We will never get the leverage that we need, right? So sabi namin, let's explore outside. Pero it's not an easy decision, kasi hindi pa naman ganun ka-liquid yung company. So we had to, yung ay practical na kwento, we had to get the cheapest hotels, cheapest flights, meaning the earliest and the latest flights to and from Davao, just to make ends meet, di ba? So, punta kami ng Cagayan de Oro, we approached a potential JV partner noon time, and we couldn't find the right property. So then we started doing a checklist. Ito, kaibigan, may pinsan si Cesar sa Davao.
So ganyan talaga
Ganun
sarili sikap talaga when you went out there. So parang ito yung plano ko, let's try to implement it as best as we can. Parang ganyan.
So then, sabi namin, sige, mag-umpisa tayo sa Davao. Tapos punta kami ng Davao. The cousin of SAR also didn't have his own property. So which is unique, di ba? May partner ka na walang lupa. Pero ang lifeblood namin is JV with property owners. Di ba? So we had to find the property. So initially 5 hectares lang yon. It's really small office, 20 square meters, 5 to 6 people. Then yun, lumaki na. So we were able to find the property at the back na ang purpose lang was to find a outfall. Kasi walang outfall yung binili namin lupa eh.
Outfall meaning for people who know.
So for example, let's say you have your drainage line, it has to go somewhere. So ang normal, it's either you connect to a DPWH drainage line on the main road, or you connect at the back wherein there's maybe a creek or natural outfall. Yung natural outfall is a property away. So hinanap namin yon. Luckily, kakilala rin nila SAR. So we talked with them, we told them, okay, we're here to hopefully buy not even their property, a portion of their property. Makadaan lang yung pipe namin. Then the talks moved to maybe we can do a joint venture. Then from 5 hectares, it became a 24 hectare development. And yun yung first true success talaga natin. So then we find the right brokers like si Filipino Home, si Boston. He told us, oh, this price, this concept. But then actually the concept came from us naman, The price point came from him.
I see.
But the concept was actually most of the developers in the regions then, kasi mura lupa eh. So what they would do is offer you 120 square meter lot. Then yung bahay mo, 40 lang. Yun yung formula nila eh, di ba? So kumbaga yung bahay is by the way.
By the way,
Pero sa Cavite, wherein mahal na yung lupa, hindi ka pwede maglaro ng ganon. Sa Cavite, kahit pa paano, yung floor area mo is proportionate to your land. So if your land is 60, maybe you can also do a 30 on 30 na para ma-maximize.
Kasi mas mahal yung lupa.
Mahal ang lupa, so you have to maximize. So yun yung naging model namin. So we created 3 models, 100 square meter lot, but we built a 100 square meter house on top of it. So 50 on 50. Then it was something new. Walang ganon. 4 bedroom, 3 million something house versus a 160 square na 40 square meter house. Sobrang bagong-bago sa market. But again, it's not new if you were a developer in Cavite. So I think yun yung naging one of the breakthroughs namin na mas naging, yung sabi nga niya sir, mas naging simple sa amin makilala sa regions. Actually ngayon nga if we do roadshows, they know us more as a regional developer. Sabi niya, alam ko yung pagkamag-anak ko bumili sa Davao mo, bumili sa Iloilo mo, but magugulat, meron rin pala kayo sa Manila, which is funny. We started in Manila, but we're more known as a regional player.
Yeah. And speaking of that one, you've sort of a homecoming right now. We're development in Dasmariñas, Cavite. Tell us more about that one over there and how you end up saying yes to Dasmariñas, Cavite.
Sige. So, ever since naman when we started growing, the goal was always to go back to Cavite. Right? Kasi yun naman yung natural progression ng mga workforce working in Metro Manila. If we did it 5 years earlier, I think we could have done some projects, but not at this scale. Kumbaga, again, you lose the leverage that you have, right? So we have been looking for properties in Cavite. Then luckily, si RJ, presented the property to us. Sabi niya, this property is being offered for sale, which again, we never buy property. I mean, super select properties lang. Siguro out of our total portfolio, it's the first 5 that we built na we bought the property. Then after that, the next one that we bought the property was in Davao na, the first 5 hectares. Then the next property we bought was in Caintana. Wala na kami ibang binili. So technically sa history namin, parang 7 lang yung binili namin na lupa. And when we saw the Dasma property, the price was so good that I said, sabi ko, kay Sir, bilhin natin to. Maganda tong lupa na to. And again, some things you plan, some things you don't plan. When we saw the property, we knew it was close to LaSalle, but we didn't know that it was closer to the new gate that they were opening. So again, blessing it.
Fortuitous talaga.
Yes,
Fortuitous
yes,
that was the
kumbaga,
case.
yung original distance niya was already acceptable, but this new entrance or yung entrance ng LaSalle made it so much better na tayong pinakamalapit na development sa kanila, right? And yun, so we studied that particular property and lahat naman subok eh. So we said, we need to talk to LaSalle. So the pitch was simple, di ba? Have them agree to certify this development as a LaSalle certified development. What do we mean by that? Kasi it's really geared towards students eh. And if you look at the student to dorm ratio of that area, sobrang kulang talaga. LaSalle is growing 20% every year. And dorm of this caliber, wala talaga sa lugar. So we wanted to tell LaSalle na ito yung magiging go-to dorm ninyo, right? Kasi it's safe, it's secure, it has all the amenities, etc., which all the other developments in the area do not have. If ever you do recommend a dorm, it should be our property. Then Hindi rin namin alam. When we talked to Lasal, they told us that they have their own dormitory plans. That's
That's right. That's right. That's I remember. Oh.
Diba, sabi niya, hindi namin yan magagawa kasi gagawa rin kami ng sariling dorm eh. Then biglang sinabi na lang nung president ng Lasal, which is si Doc Tony, he said, but actually we need housing for our own employees. And he understood the concept that we were selling. So which made the product even better. So it's for the students, it's for investors looking for investment na pwedeng gawing dormitories for students also. And it's now a product for the employees of Lasal. So it's very exciting. So far, the traction has been great. I think yun nga, it opened our doors to Cavite so much so that si Pro Friends, di ba? Full circle. Kailan yun? Sorry, 2008, 2007, si GCC
Jerry Choa.
legally fired SAR. Now, we met with him like a month ago. We offered a 16-hectare prime property in Lancaster, wherein it will now fortify our position in Cavite.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's a nice homecoming for you, sir, right? Now from being fired to being or sort of rehired in the area.
Yeah. Actually, interestingly, like earlier we mentioned like when we do market research and everything, usually it's more on a affordability na standpoint eh. But as we grew the company now, like for example, for this Dasma property, somewhat in a way fortunate that the specific target market actually showed itself to us, which is really the school. Eh. And for me, one of the biggest anchors you do when you develop a property is really to make it be very close to a school. There's limitless clients. There's always someone there.
Yeah, every year,
Every year, there's new students. It's it checks all the boxes. Eh. For people who do not live close by or people just want to have a sound investment, it's the best investment really. You can convert your condo into like a 4-bed dorm. It makes a lot of sense. That's why this Dasma property, we're really very happy with it. We have a similar property in Davao, right in front of the school. We're right in front of Davao Christian, also one of our best properties. So definitely this project in Cavite is really one of our best projects so far.
Yeah. Reminds me recently, I came from Baliug, Bulacan, and stayed in SM Baliwag, and it's directly connected to NU.
Yes.
NU Baliwag, and they've got, the mall is happy because they've got clients starting 7 a.m. up to the nighttime, and then the condo is right beside.
Correct.
The SNDC condo is right beside. So I mean, more or less, this is like these are golden for developers. You know, it's been such a great discussion. Do you realize we've been talking for an hour already so far? But yeah, it's not quite there. And as we start to wrap up this discussion, you guys have learned a lot, not just in development, but you both have different characters. You're both different characters, but you seem to be coming together and working well together. You work together, company. You work from scratch. You built this one. You joined him over here. You had your failures and successes. What sort of, I guess, management hacks or tips would you like to share to also aspiring real estatepreneurs and people in management in general that they can also apply to grow the way that you guys have grown the business as well?
Yeah. Maybe for me, because before Carson joined me in the company, it was just me. So when Carson joined, in a way, we structured the company that I had San Juan and Carson had Quezon City, but I realized that working together and then having roles, defined roles actually helped us. We didn't have regions, but it was more like more collaborative. That's one. But I also realized that you can't be doing the same thing in one company. For example, we cannot. For example, Carson does most of the operations. Most of the projects go through Carson, and it rarely goes to me. Probably when I talk to Carson, it's really more direction setting, more mission vision, but I don't. And funding, yeah. But other than that, everything is Carson. I don't question what Carson does. But that also goes back to maybe how we learn the business or our company culture or how we know each other. That I trust Carson. I feel that in other companies, especially family businesses, maybe they don't have that. It's more like a check and balance. The thing that we have here that I think is very effective is we don't check and balance each other. I trust Carson with the company. Carson is really he's really the lifeblood of the company. And for a time, when we were building the company, I found it. I had to adjust to it, RJ. That's hard to do because I'm the founder of the company, but I knew that this was the right thing to do. I'm not saying I'm a martyr for stepping back, but I'm saying that sometimes you do things for the company. I'm very happy that Carson is on top of the company, but for other entrepreneurs, that's very hard to do. Especially for like people in the family business, for patriarchs to like let go of certain controls or certain how do you say this? Parang being regarded as the head of the company, that's very hard. But for us, it took some time, but it was the best for the company. And what's best for the company is best for our clients, best for our employees. So I think that's something that people also have to understand when they're growing a company, and when you're growing a company this fast.
And I think, I mean, just to share from you, your point of view is like, it's letting go of, for me, it's ego. It's letting go some ego and saying, you know, let what is best for the company be what's best for the company, because whatever's best for the company is best for you as well.
Yes.
Yes. Carson, ikaw.
Yeah. So, for me naman, it's really more on the more of a long-term mindset, no? So, yung sabi nga ni Sar kanina, we more or less speak the same language. And that's what we try to teach to everyone else. Lalo na yung mga core players or core officers in the office, right? So, kasi if you don't speak the same language, mahirap eh. So, it's subject to misinterpretation, iba yung gusto niya, iba yung gusto mo. But if more or less you guys know ano yung tama sa mali, all the other things are more of operational quirks na lang eh. But the overall direction is the same, no? So, one of the things that we learned is, kasi kumbaga, before I joined SAR, there was an opportunity for me to work with another uncle, not Uncle Jerry. So, work with another uncle, but the difference was, he will only treat you as an employee at the end of it, right? But he demands as if you think like an owner. Like he wants the same level of devotion to the company without giving a piece of it to you, right? So, I think yun yung importante when we spoke eh. Nung una na mausapan namin yung SAR, it was simple eh. So, wala akong pera pang labas. Sabi niya, kung ano yung kinita ng project, 10% management fee sa'yo. Then, yung medyo maganda yung project, without me even asking it from him, siya yung nagsabi, kung may option ka mag-buy-in, I will allow you to buy in a certain percentage of the company, right? So, that means a lot. Kasi, as an entrepreneur, as you grow the business, you realize na hindi mo kaya gawin lahat. So, ako, I get older every day. And buti na lang ngayon, mas nagsa-sports, but then before, really unhealthy. Like sleep late, wake up early, travel all over, get the worst flight schedules. Then the only way to cope with it is to eat. So, totoo yun. Di ba, sir?
Yeah.
And I ballooned like 325 pounds and eat and drink, socialize with, it's really hindi siya tatagal. Di ba? So, then you realize that kailangan mo ng mas maraming tao na kayang gawin yung kaya mong gawin or even better than you. Similar to what SAR did, right? But then, hindi rin siya mag-work kung, again, hinihingi mo to, pero wala kang mang binibigay kapalit. Di ba? Kasi pag binigay mo yun, you don't even have to ask for a certain level of devotion eh. Kasi they know they have skin in the game and they will fight for it, right? So, yung lumaki kami, some of my brothers were given that opportunity and they work. And we compete per region. They have to outperform each and every other region. That's why lumaki rin kami. Kasi hindi lang naman isa yung driver. It's like multiple people are driving it. And it cascades down to the project directors. So we have programs wherein they can invest their money. They can be a minority owner. Kumbaga, but again, these are things that not a lot of big businesses will do. So normally, you tend to keep everything for yourself. Pero, panay very metric driven ka, di ba? KPIs, blah, 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 blah. Tapos kung hindi mag-work, palisin yung tao, palitan ng tao. Then, what you end up with are a group of people who are only concerned to keep their jobs. But it's not necessary na they're performing. Basta, hi boss, magaling lang sumipsip. They will never tell you the hard things. They will only say yes.
Because they don't feel like they're just being paid to tell you
yes,
good things.
Diba? So, minsan sabihin lang niya, basta I'm under the radar, wala akong malaking palpak, wala rin akong magaling na contribution, it's enough for me to get by. Then every year naman may konti kang adjustment on pay because of inflation or whatever, okay na yan. But those are the worst people to have. Diba? Kasi they hold a key position pero walang commitment. Diba? So ngayon, yun yung ginagawa namin na parang kumbaga we're trying to decentralize things with a singular vision still. Decentralize it, but also incentivizing, making people feel na yung tinatrabaho mo may pupuntahan. Whether your why is, I want my kids to go to a good school, when my mom gets older, I can bring them abroad. Those things you can do. If you are, let's say, you have a stake in that development.
And
Diba?
you parang, what I see is that you guys always have to make sure that, and what Cesar's graciously allowed many of you to do is have skin in the game.
Yes.
And when you've skin in the game, that's when it matters.
Yes, correct. Yan naman talaga, di ba, sir?
Yeah. But again, just to add to that, so if you try to visualize it, so at the start, let's say I have 90% control of the company, and then let's say Carson mentioned earlier, he has 10% management fee, but what do I do with 90% of a small pie? So I was thinking, if the pie is bigger, I don't mind getting 60, 40%, and then Carson and his brothers have a bigger piece of the pie. So I think that's a mindset that maybe people should also have. Again, Carson mentioned that in other real estate companies, maybe that's how people think about it. Okay, we have so much capital, we're going to hire the best people, but we're just hiring them. They don't get ownership, they're not part of the company, whatever happens. So if that happens to me, let's say, or maybe to a regular employee, or maybe someone who's a VP, they would probably think, okay, I'm getting this much, I'm getting paid 400,000 a month. If the project works or not, I don't care.
Yeah, I still get my 400.
I still get my 400. And these people are not stupid people. If you talk to them, they know what projects will work, what projects will not work, and what projects will actually cause some oversupply. But they don't care. Maybe the owners did not double check. But again, I think bottom line, what Carson mentioned is, if you don't have skin in the game, if you don't have, if nothing bad will happen to you, RJ, you won't care.
Yes.
And then, okay, let's say they get caught. Oh, why did you do this project? It's not making money. We're not selling it. We have like 90% inventory not sold. Okay, you're fired. But that person that's probably fired by this company will probably be hired by another real estate company that will think, oh, we're getting this person. This is a very good CEO, COO. And then the cycle happens again. So I think the generosity comes with generosity to people that you work with, the good people that you work with, comes the responsibility to take care of the company as well.
Yes.
Got that. Yeah. Really great. And guys, what a great insight I've gained from WEECOM. And this is why I think in all honesty, the projects are doing well, and I'm seeing now what makes you different from the others. It's not just the development, but the way the company has been structured to reward the people who work for the company. And I think that's really the true success. And aside from that one, really the hard work into evaluating the properties. It's a pleasure to work with you guys, and we're looking for more power to WEECOM. And look forward to seeing you guys every year here, winning in the NatCon.
Yes.
Number 2.
Number 2 every year.
Hopefully next one of these days. Top 1 na. Again, thanks so much for joining me here on the RJ Ledesma Podcast. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, RJ.
Breathe in and out. You deserve peace, and sometimes peace starts with a clean home. With CleanWorks, you don't just get a spotless space, you get mental clarity, professional cleaners, systematic service, hygienic, safe, and stress-free. Let CleanWorks handle the mess so you can focus on what truly matters. Rest, family, or just your time. Clean space, calm mind. Book now at CleanWorks PH on Instagram or Facebook, or call 0966 200 6910 to schedule your cleaning. Because self-care starts at home.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.